Hey there, I am Lequita Brooks, your social impact speaker and strategist. Welcome to Social Impact Sundays at 6, where we have massive social impact that leads to massive income. And today we have LaTeisha Graham. She is a social work student. She is the first student ever to be on the social work movement, because typically I only interview social workers that's been in the field for a while, who have tons of experience. But there was something really special about Tisha. She did this post in one of the social work groups that I was in, just dropping some really amazing gems. When I say amazing gems to inspire other social work students. And that's why today we have our first social work student on the social work movement docu-series of Social Impact Sundays at 6. Welcome, LaTeisha.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me as the first social work student. It's an honor.
No, thank you for being you and being so awesome. So in your post, one of the things you talked about was like, hey, you know what? This has not been the easiest journey. I am still a social work student, but you use that as an opportunity to say, you know what? Even though things aren't going the way I want to, even though in the midst of struggle, there was something that was inside of you that said, I'm going to push forward. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I'm currently in my last semester of my MSW program. Like the last semester just started today. And last year, and thank you so much. But last year I kind of felt like I was like kind of in a dark space. I felt like every time I would like open my app, it was just like negative things. I was seeing about the social work community, even though I kind of know the stigma with social workers feeling like they're low pay and everything. It was just a lot going on. Like every time I opened my social media group, a place where I was trying to get empowered, I just kept seeing so much negativity, and it was even coming from people who had their clinical license. So it was really discouraging because I'm trying to get in that position, and it just felt like there was really like no hope. So that was kind of the space I was in last year. Um, I had to overcome that by just really changing my own mindset. So I'm in a much better space now. Like I kind of could see the light at the end of my journey, but I also feel like I want to use my skills to put myself in a better situation. So I figured that some of the tips that I was doing, that it could be helpful to other social work students.
Oh my goodness. So you're working on getting your social work degree to officially become a social worker, but clearly you already have the skills and abilities and the heart of
Thank
a social
you.
worker, because you could have just been like, you know what? I went through my dark phase. I see lights. That's it. But no, you made the decision to share that light and be honest and vulnerable to say, you know what? I felt in a dark place. Like I was in a dark place.
Hmm.
And you make the
Yeah.
decision to use your light to try to inspire another social work students. And that's why I started the social work movement, for that reason exactly. Because I
Hmm.
would get angry. I mean, I
Yes.
didn't encourage, but I would be so angry, Tisha. I would be so angry in those groups. Like, oh my goodness, all we hear about is the bitter, broke, and burnout social worker. And I was so sick
Hmm.
of their voices being so much louder than
Hmm.
voices of other social workers like me who actually love what we do. We've been able to
Yeah.
maximize our skills. So, what are some of those tips that you shared with social work students that you did in your life to go from being in a dark place to now
Hmm.
you're just blossoming, you're growing, you're expanding? I'm loving all
Thank
of this.
you. The first thing was like mindset. I felt like I always had a go-getting mindset, but it's something about doing an unpaid internship that could humble you back down a bit. And so with that, I had to change my mindset. Some of the other tips I put down was focusing on like real self-care. And for example, in your curriculum, a lot of the professors are going to tell you to do self-care. And to me and most students, it's probably triggering because it's like, how you gonna tell us to do self-care and we're working for free, right? But I had to figure out what do my self-care look like, and mine was really financial care. So I realized that when I graduate, I need to be making like a good amount of money. Like no one's going to discourage me and tell me I have to make 40K or 50K. I'm going to do what I need to do to make a better wage. So with that, some of the tips I put talked about looking for learning high paying skills. So social work is already a high value skill, but unfortunately the industry just haven't caught up yet. So with that being said, I used the group to start searching up like six-figure jobs. And I put a whole list on my little document of all the jobs where people was happy. They were satisfied with their job, they was making good money, and they was also able to travel, have hobbies. So I put them all down in my Google. Most of it was macro jobs. So that was something that I put in the tips, to be open-minded to learning macro skills and not just micro skills, because I'm pretty sure everyone kind of assume like I'm going to be a therapist and that's it. And that's how I was. Now I'm completely open to doing other duties. So that was some of the tips that I put in the group. To just be open-minded, be flexible, learn high value skills, look into macro work, use LinkedIn. Um, really just take time to figure out what you want your life to look like. Not just like, I want to be a social worker and I want to work in this population. What do you want your life to look like after you clock out? And find a job that's going to fit those needs.
Exactly, your life
Yeah.
vision. And the unique thing is that I find interesting about something you said was that you're looking into macro social work roles. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that you still plan to pursue licensure. So
Mm-hmm.
what makes
Yes.
you decide that even if you don't take a clinical path, you're still going to get licensed as a
Mm-hmm.
clinical person, yet you're
Mm-hmm.
seeking maybe more macro social work positions. So what was the thought behind that?
I mean, I really had to do the research to figure out where, like, what can I do with my current skill set and the degree I have, and what's going to put me in a better situation to have a better life. So the thing is, I still want to pursue getting my clinical license because there's a lot of value into that. You could have your private practice. I learned a lot from your posts. You could even, get a grant and have a grant business. You could do assessments, evaluations. All those things are still clinical work, but there's a value to that. You could get paid really well to learn like immigration evaluations. You could get paid a lot of money to get trained on that. So that's why I still aspire to have my clinical license, because I'm thinking about the future as well.
Yes, you're not just looking at Tisha today. Like, yes, we
Mhm.
live in the present and we want to be mindful of the present and be here and now today.
Yes.
And we want to position ourselves today for that future self, the future
Mhm.
life, and what you see and what you desire to be able to serve and support while still, like you said, making a good amount of money because financial wellness is self-care.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what are some of those outdated narratives? You're like, you know what, Lequita, I am so sick of these. I'm not even officially a social worker yet, but I'm sick of these narratives and I'm sick of people saying this to me. What are some of those things? You're
Yes.
like,
So when I first started my first placement in orientation, the first thing the director said was, I like to call social workers the homeless profession. We're similar to teachers. We have to scramble for resources and you don't get paid really well. That was my first field placement, the first day of field placement. And I felt like, why am I here? Like it just did something so bad to my spirit that I was ready to transition to tech very quick. Like you already know, last year was really like a lot of people was already trying to transition to tech, teachers, social workers, nurses. It was, it's still going on now, but it was really high on everybody's feed last year. And I was ready to go as well. Some other ones is social workers don't get paid well, social workers are broke, bitter, don't expect to make 75K when you graduate with your master's. Some just really bad negative ones that you hear from friends, family, from your own circle of social workers. Like you don't have to go far to look for this stuff. They still tell you in your face. Like I said, on my first day of field placement, they told us straight up. And it was so discouraging. It was really hard for me to want to even finish the program, but I really had to like push myself and find a way to make this work for me.
You found that internal, that strength, and it
Mm-hmm.
probably also ties into your why. Like, even though I hear all of these external voices that's
Mm-hmm.
really like discouraging me, but there was something still inside of you that said, in spite of,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still moving forward. So what would you want to say to social work students or any social workers who
Mm-hmm.
still hearing all those negative narratives, the bitter, broke, burnout social workers that's just planting really dark seeds into the
Mm-hmm.
next generation of our social workers? Like, what would you say to them?
You have to block out the noise. You have to do your research to find where the happy social workers are that are paid well. See if you can network with them. If not, just make it your business to be okay to pivot and change your story. You don't have to be broke. You don't have to be bitter. That doesn't have to be your story. If you want a certain lifestyle and you feel like clinical work might not be the way for you or might not let you get to that goal, it's okay to pivot and it's okay to take your skills to other industries. So, one of the things I learned from research is that we could stay in mental health, of course, but our skills are so valuable that it could be applied in other industries, like government industries. It don't always have to be the VA, even though the VA have a lot of social workers. There's other jobs in the government agencies where we could take our skills and get paid really well. Also, the tech industries. I found a tech company that is hiring for just MSW social workers to do triage. Their starting salary is 75K, and it goes up to 85K and it's remote. Most people are not thinking to look into a tech company for clinical work, but it's there. Same with like CVS, Blue Care, Aetna. There's so many different industries besides our everyday hospital that we could look into to apply our skills, and the salary is really high.
And that's the thing that I love about social work. It's just so many options. We just don't think about those. And I love those tips. So is there anything else that you just want to share with our studio audience, just in general?
Don't let social work just be your identity. Be open minded. If you want change, look for the change, and to always just take care of yourself. Like we do so much for others that we don't ever think about filling our own jar. And I think that's the main thing to take away. Take care of yourself, and it's okay to be selfish and you know pay yourself well. Don't allow yourself to be broke. You got a master's.
You would think that that would just be basic knowledge. And I love those strategies and those tips that you mentioned.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I got a lot of feedback on that post. A lot of the social work students and other social workers who's already working found that post to be valuable. So, you know, I have like 5 months until I graduate. So I'm really hoping that, I could probably come back and have some good news that I landed a high paying role. I'm currently interning at the VA as an actual macro job. So I'm learning so much and I feel like I could take what I'm learning and I could like basically go to any industry.
Exactly. And I also interned at the VA. And the thing I love about VA internships is a whole society in itself. So you
Yes.
might have an internship in one area, but you can always go and shadow social workers in primary care or a home health or, homeless program or, shadow the supervisors that's doing medical stuff. Or like you said, you're doing a macro social work
Yes.
internship now. So it's a community that's like it's his own city, you might as well say. Maybe a
Yeah.
state.
I actually feel like, this internship was literally curated just for me. So before I got accepted to the internship, or whatever, we had to pick our top three. And deep down inside, I knew I wanted to like get some macro skills, but I was telling myself like, oh, maybe I'll take a course after I graduate. Cause it was new. I was a little nervous. So I put like for basically for the VA, you pick your top three. but it's up to the supervisor to choose who they want, who they want to be their intern. So my top two was micro work because I was already familiar with doing micro work. And then my bottom three was like, my last one was macro, but I ended up I got chosen for macro. And I thought that was hilarious because that was like my last one. And not only that, so at my placement, I form coalitions in the community. So I just manage different coalitions. So in my mind, I like to say that's almost like project management. That's going to be my high value skill. I also do social media marketing as well. And I still have to do clinical work. Like I have to do a triage, I have to facilitate group for school. But basically, all the things that I wanted to learn and that I was like sending messages to people on LinkedIn, I feel like I don't have to go spread myself thin anymore. I'm just learning it all at one place to avoid burnout. So yeah, I just wanted to say that because a lot of the other interns think what I do is pretty cool because it's like, oh, you're doing social media marketing, you're planning events for like suicide prevention for the LGBT community, and you're managing coalitions. So it's like, wow, like I didn't know social workers do that.
It was meant just for you, and I commend you for sticking with it in spite of. I commend you for having so much clarity on what you desire out of life. I commend you for being like, you know what, I know there is more and I'm going after my more, regardless
Yeah,
of what anyone has to say. So I'm so excited
thank
about
you.
your life, your career, what's next, your trajectory, how you're going to have massive impact and make a massive income. And while doing that. So how can people connect with you?
There is a page I guess I would like to promote. I'm a part of an advocacy group in Maryland. It's called UPP. So it's United for Paid Placements. And the whole group is all about advocating for social work interns in Maryland to get to get paid for their placement. So they're actually creating like a bill and stuff like that to get drafted and formed. So if anyone want to follow that movement, it will be UPP on
All
Instagram.
right. UPP to get paid internships. And what is your name on LinkedIn?
Yeah, LaTeisha Graham. You definitely could connect with me there.
Perfect. I thank you so much, LaTeisha, for joining us today on the social work movement.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. And I am Lequita Brooks, your social impact speaker and strategist here at Social Impact Sundays at 6. So we have massive social impact that leads to massive income. Make sure you go to thesocialworkmovement.com to get involved. Once again, that is thesocialworkmovement.com. Until next time, have an amazing day.